I'll call the meeting of the Green Bay Economic Development Authority to order. Roll call, Gary Sikich is here. Mike Borley is excused, I understand. Brian Johnson? Here. Pam Parrish?
Here.
Mohammed Raji is excused. And Michael Pia? Here. And John Kelworks? Here. To our new members, welcome. Good to have you aboard. Thank you. We're just looking for more talent on this group, so glad to have you here. Next item, approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Parrish. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Carried. Approval of the minutes from our November 26th meeting. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Parrish. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Piet. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Regular business. Consideration with possible action on the disposition of 929 North Broadway, tax parcel 18-502, to Modern Built LLC for use with the Redevelopment Authority's New Homes in Your Neighborhood program.
All right. That would be
Take
me.
it away.
I have a handout here for you. I did a little extra mapping.
Should we share?
I have 5 of them.
Oh, okay.
You can pass them down.
Thank you.
So this property, 929 North Broadway, was acquired from the county in 2009 as part of a deal to spur the light industrial development on the kind of large odd-shaped parcel there. What numbers are those? I kind of have it marked down there. It didn't print in color, so yes, those. The county agreed to waive the taxes, or the back taxes on those large industrial sites. If the city agreed to also take the residential parcel that we're talking about today, and pay the back taxes on that, as well as pay for the demo and the cleanup of the industrial site. The 2 industrial sites were disposed of that same year and have been rebuilt on. And since then, we've been sitting on this vacant residential site on the corner, 929 North Broadway. This last fall, the RDA acquired the adjacent property, which also became vacant and acquired by the county. We picked it up from the county, also for back taxes. Staff felt the best use for both of these properties was single-family residential, and we advertised them both as part of the RDA's New Homes in Your Neighborhood program, which that program grants city infill parcels and up to $25,000 to developers or builders for the construction of single-family homes on RDA or city-owned parcels. Last month, the RDA approved a plan for the RDA-owned lot, and that project will actually be breaking ground hopefully this week. The plans are getting approved, I think tomorrow they'll be back to the builder. Since then, since that's been approved, Jake Vandevort of Modern Built LLC took interest in this EDA lot and submitted an application. And staff is recommending that EDA approve the disposition of this property for use with the New Homes in Your Neighborhood program. The grant funding will be approved tomorrow, contingent on approval of the disposition tonight.
I do have a question. So is there a buyer for this property already, or how does that work? Or is it going to go on the market?
It'll go on the market.
It will go on the market.
Yeah, and actually the builder is here.
Oh, okay.
If you want to chat with
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, they will be spec building it. It does have to be sold though for owner occupancy. That's part of the program. That's the requirement. So that's what the program is trying to spur, is home ownership in our existing neighborhoods.
I see you have a drawing. I was
curious
how it is going to,
Yep.
blend in.
So this is actually part of our new city,
Oh,
new home
very nice.
construction book.
Yeah.
They'll probably be making a tweak on the actual floor plan, but the design will look very similar to this. The other builder on the RDA lot is also doing a very similar design to this, and staff feels that it's very fitting for that neighborhood and will generate some tax base.
Any other questions? So when would construction start? Has that been?
Yeah,
Okay.
as soon as we can get approval on these, get the properties transferred over and permits are pulled, they can start construction right away, so.
Is it clean, or do we know? or-
This site has been residential
The whole time?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yep,
it
so
shouldn't
there
be-
were
Should be no
two
surprises,
residential.
hopefully.
Shouldn't be, right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Motion has been made to approve by Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Parrish. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Very good. Good
Do I
luck.
have to vote on that through the?
Oh.
I can't get mine. I don't know my
Let's
password.
do this again.
Just so we have, yeah.
Sorry.
Have you had to
Help
look
us with
for-
that.
Okay, that's a new thing we're doing now.
Where do we vote?
Set up. Let me try it.
On that agenda item?
Oh, just go to the agenda item?
Yeah, it should pop up for you. Yeah, once I get the motion in the second in, but I don't have everybody logged in to vote.
I don't know my password. And I forgot password and it's probably
Sending it.
in quarantine. Because that's how our email works. Sorry.
We can do.
So we can do an oral vote, and
Yep.
Jesse can just record them
Yep.
on there.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to do a voice,
Set up, but.
You wanna do a
I'm just
voice
doing
vote?
all hands.
We can do a voice vote,
Okay.
that's fine.
What's your, you don't know your password? It's probably just P Parish.
Did you change it?
I don't think so.
Yes,
You could try P Parish.
we can do a voice vote.
Okay.
Do you want the motion again, or?
I have a motion by Alderman Johnson and a second by Pam Parrish
Okay.
for approval.
So just state your name and how you vote.
Mike,
I'm sorry, Mohammed, you want to say?
Mohammed. I approve.
Approval.
Mike Piat approve?
Pam Parrish approved.
Gary Sickich approved.
John Keller's for.
Ryan Johnson.
All right, motion is passed.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure, good luck. It's like a nice project.
Thanks. Good to go. One more approval tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank you. Informational, update on the Brownfields program.
All right, this one's me. So just to give our newer members a little bit of background information,
Thank you.
the city of Green Bay was awarded a $300,000 grant from the EPA for Brownfield Assessment a couple years ago. So what Brownfield assessments are, well, I guess first of all, Brownfields, let's give a definition to those. Those are properties that are believed to have been contaminated for previous industrial uses. And so with the assessment grant, we use those funds to do a few different things. One is a phase 1 ESA environmental site assessment. That's basically doing a record search of the history of a piece of property, doing a site visit, and kind of just getting an idea what the likelihood is that there's contamination on the property. If there's a decent likelihood, we'll usually go to a phase 2 environmental site assessment. And what those are is usually the testing. You actually dig holes into the ground, you test the soil, you test the groundwater, send it to the lab and find out what the level of contamination is. We use these grants to also do remedial action planning or reuse planning. So if we know what the contamination is, we can actually put together a plan on how to clean the site up and reuse it. So this is up here just kind of an overview of our current budget. The bulk of it you'll see was dedicated towards phase 2 ESAs. Those are the more expensive projects. So yeah, we were approved for up to 300,000, and it was a 3-year grant. We're supposed to use it up by the end of 2020, and we've already used up 93% of these funds. So now I'm just going to do kind of a virtual tour of where, geographically speaking, we've been spending these funds. Any questions before we do that? An overview. Okay, so to start us off, the Railyard. So this is our site here, the Railyard, or the former Larson Green Canning Company. Really, this is just north of Kellogg. Our previous grants, we actually have done phase 1 and phase 2 site assessments on this property. For this current grant, we've only spent about $7,000, a little more than that, on remedial action planning. We always are hoping to leverage the most amount of private dollars with these funds. And here we're expected to leverage about $16 million in new property values. And with that, we hope to see, actually the picture there on the bottom is just from a few days ago. Those are new condos going up right now. And the image there on the top is the Broadway lofts, which are proposed on the north side of the property here, and hopefully those will be breaking ground in the next few weeks. So this is already a really successful site. On 901 Main, here, this is kind of next to the old bus depot. This was an old bar, actually, but surprisingly there's some contamination we found on this site, primarily because of historic urban fill. It's a problem that we see throughout downtown Green Bay. A long time ago, they brought in extra fill from who knows where to just build the site up, and that material was oftentimes contaminated. So with this site, we've done a phase 1, phase 2 ESA. We had to do some additional investigation and have done a remedial action plan. So all in all, on this site, we've spent over $43,000. But with that, we would hope to see $2.3 million in new property value. If you've driven by here anytime recently, you'll see that this building is already under construction. Garrett Bader's building, this mixed-use property, apartments up top and retail there on the bottom. So it's already underway. Erie Road. This is an old agricultural site. It's been used for farmland for years. Sometimes you do see petroleum spills on these properties and old barns and whatnot. So Nature's Way had a proposal to develop this site and asked that we go ahead and do a phase 1. So we did that. It was pretty minimal investment. It did not recommend we move forward with a phase 2. But even though it was a pretty small investment, we do anticipate a very large return on that, with over $15 million in new property value expected to be leveraged with Nature's Way's new production facility, which this isn't an old rendering. Is this finished? It's probably
It's getting close.
getting close.
Is that going ahead?
Yes.
It is? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah, they started last year. They lost the structure in that crazy wind and rainstorm we had in August, and
Okay.
basically got everything back up and running. But yeah, no, they're anticipated to be fully operational by the end of the year.
Okay, the Shipyard Properties. We've actually assessed 7 different sites, all associated with the Shipyard project. The bulk of our funds actually for our grant has gone to these properties. And we've done 4 phase 1s, 4 phase 2s, and 4 remedial action plans. And reuse planning also for this site, about 167 invested. And we will see our largest return with that investment, with an anticipated $30 million in new property values within that whole area of the community. I'm sure many of you have seen this rendering. We've been working really hard on this project for several months now. I think we're going to have a new rendering probably in the next few weeks. We anticipate we're just about done with the planning on this site. I think Phil was actually dumped here last week, a couple weeks ago.
Will be.
Will be, oh, it's not there yet?
Yep.
Okay,
It
so.
was underwater last week, so hence why we're bringing in the fill to get it out of the floodplain.
So we're moving forward on this one pretty quickly. On the Adams Street lot in downtown Green Bay, we've done a phase 1 here, pretty minimal investment thus far, just $7,200. The redevelopment authority is considering redevelopment proposals, so we're gonna stay tuned on this one. We'll probably end up doing a phase 2 eventually, but not until we've got a development confirmed here. For House Flats, this is an old church property, Priory, kind of in the south side of, is that Irwin? And we did a phase 1 and an asbestos and lead inspection of the old Priory building. $23,000 invested here, and we anticipate about $5 million in new property values. The old Priory building is going to be converted into senior housing, and then we're going to be seeing some new townhomes. Is that all LMI, or is there a
Yes,
market
yep.
right there?
Whole thing.
Whole thing is low to moderate income housing.
Who's doing that development?
Commonwealth?
Is that under construction now?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have just a couple of properties, M&M Warehousing and 801 South Broadway. Those are 2 sites we don't have a ton invested in. We did phase 1s for both of those properties. Development isn't proposed right now, but hopefully with these assessments, we'll be seeing some action take place before too long, hopefully. So just kind of a total impact. So as I said, we've expended about 93% of our budget, about $278,000 of our $300,000. With that, we've assessed 14 different sites. Of those, 9 we've already got confirmed redevelopment, and we are expected to leverage over $68 million on those sites. But moving forward, what are we going to do now? We're almost out of money. We have applied for another EPA assessment grant for another $300,000. Even though we're still in the middle of our technical grant period, we're supposed to be spending funds through 2020. With our current grant, because we've spent so much, EPA has allowed us to apply for another one. And we should be hearing back this week an announcement from EPA on whether or not that will be awarded. We've also applied for a $500,000 EPA cleanup grant. This is a different kind of grant that would be used just for the cleanup of the shipyard properties. The city has not applied for these funds before, so we're crossing our fingers hoping we get this. And that will also be announced later this week, we anticipate. And we've also applied for $1 million. That's actually 2 $500,000 grants through WEDC. And those are also for the cleanup of the shipyard site.
So is that project contingent on these funds for the cleanup or anything, or?
If we were to get these funds, what we would be allowed to do is to spend our money that we've already allocated towards the shipyard on the cool stuff.
Oh, yeah, the neat stuff.
Rather
The
than
stuff that sells.
Rather than the boring stuff,
Yeah.
like the cleanup of
Dirt.
contaminated soil.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've already been approved through council for
Okay.
I think, $10 million
Okay.
to spend on the shipyard site as a whole. So yeah, this would really just free up our funds to spend it on more interesting things than environmental cleanup. Anyway, that's the presentation. Let me know if you guys have any questions.
This is really a real success story so far. This is really impressive. Where's the press when we need it? Seriously, this should be blown up. It's, we've got a little bit of grant money, and look what we're leveraging. And projects are real projects too. They're on their way, so good job. I think it's good, and I think we should toot our horn a little bit on this too. It's great.
Yeah, we might do that, actually.
well, seriously, yeah.
Since we're getting close to wrapping this one up, we could totally put out a press release.
I think you should,
Share
definitely.
some information. We were able to share some pretty cool stories at our public meeting on Brownfields back in January, I want to say, January 2018. And we did get some press there.
Yeah.
But that was at the beginning of this grant, and so now here we are at the end, and so we can share those stories.
Very good. Brownfields, impressive.
At a Brownfield sale, that was at the Titletown Tap Room, so a great Brownfield success story.
Excellent. Any other questions, comments? Okay, update on I-43 Business Center.
Right,
Since you queued up here.
go through this pretty quick, but I'm going to give some background information on this as well, especially for new members. All right, so the I-43 Business Center, everybody I would hope is familiar with that. The east side, I'll give you some background. So it's basically on the southeast corner of I-43 and Mason Street. It was established over 30 years ago, and at that time it was entirely owned by the city. It has specific zoning, design standards, covenants that make it really unique, especially when it was developed, and not arguably very successful. And it's been used as a model throughout the state for other business centers or industrial parks, or names kind of change around. So this is kind of, you can see the zoning. It's primarily industrial. Sort of that green in the corner is the hospital space and some office space, and you have some retail and entertainment along the frontages, the main frontages of Mason and the highway. So again, in 1987, it was 580 acres when it was established. By 97, 98, it was at capacity. They added quite a bit and expanded east to 830 acres. Kind of going to the success, and you kind of see some of the pictures on the bottom. They're not the greatest, but in 2003 the city adopted its comprehensive plan, which is its 20-year growth plan, and that plan recommended that the business center continue to expand all the way east to the city limits, which is South Northview Road. So that was in 2003. Presently, we no longer own any property at all in the business center. There are some lots that are not fully developed, but they're owned by private entities, generally for expansion needs, and they're being held. Interest, though, remains really high. Our economic development department gets calls all the time, people wanting to be in that business center. And the other thing that is very important is the public infrastructure out there is coming very soon, so the utilities. So what we looked at is basically another expansion like the comp plan recommends. We don't have any property, infrastructure's coming. So we looked at a study area, and what would that study area be? We extended that all the way east to South Northview Road, and I'll kind of go to another map here. So this is the comprehensive plan, and you'll see everything that's in the purple color or the light blue is what the comprehensive plan recommends for expansion of the business park. Sort of follows Mason Street over to the east. When we looked at a potential expansion, what we did was not leave that area in the corner, the bottom corner, which the yellow and the dark browns are residential zoning classifications in the 20-year comp plan. So the darker colors are higher density, and the light colors are very low density, single family. So we decided to look at the entire area for potential expansion. So our expansion study area took in everything in the city limits except for the one piece you can see there that is almost all wetlands. So this map shows the two study areas. The existing park is in red, the expansion area is in green. They comprise about 650 more acres, and there are only 52 individual property owners. It's very agricultural. But one thing that we get a lot of comments on is that it's all wetlands, it's hardly buildable. We don't know that to be true. Talking to some of the property owners, they don't necessarily agree. So what we need to do is do a wetland study. So that study would be to expand the area. All 50 property owners within the study area signed off, so they're allowing the city or consultants to enter their property, to do drone flights over the top of it, take new photographs, to do the study, and we contracted with a consultant, NES, to perform this actually right now. They're probably out there right now, or earlier today. There is a big difference between the study, which is a determination, and a delineation. So a delineation is very specific. It's going to tell you the exact boundaries where the wetlands are. It's going to map them out. It can be used for getting permits. A determination, it's very, very expensive to do a delineation. A determination is really useful from a conceptual standpoint. So it's sort of a hydrologist and an engineering company will go out there and say, these have a lot of wetland indicators. This is the area where the wetlands are very probable. It kind of gives us an idea of, is this area developable? Would it be a candidate for an expansion of a business park? So we would get a report from the consultants that would tell us that. I talked a little bit about the infrastructure, so we're going to have sanitary interceptors, and I don't know if it's easy to see. So you can see in 2018, the expansion of the sanitary interceptor going down to the existing business park boundaries, and that would continue down to the south in 2019. And in 2020, you can see it's going to be running, and I don't remember the name of the subdivision up there, but you're running across the northern part of the city. Grandview, there you go. And then running down Grandview Road, all the way down to the city limits. So with that infrastructure coming in, it really allows that property to start to be developed. Now, we're not building roads in there, we're not doing that kind of thing, but that provides the ability to start doing that. So what our steps were is we did contract with NES Ecological Services, which is part of Robert E. Lee. They are going to do the wetland study. Contracted them in March. They did a desktop review. So they looked at all the stuff the DNR has, any existing wetland studies that were out there, and kind of found anything that they didn't need to go out in the field. Now they're at the point where they're done with the desktop review, so they're going to be doing drone flights, which they had planned to do a little bit earlier, but we've been so wet, they felt that the results would be skewed. But so they're supposedly doing drone flights right now, and they'd be doing field investigations following that. We're hoping to get the results in June of this year, end of June, beginning of July, since we're in June now. And we would bring that back, those results back to the EDA, as well as sharing it with all the 52 property owners. That's sort of their benefit to allow us to go onto their property was, they would get this investigation work done, which in a lot of their minds is very valuable. There's quite a few of them looking to retire, looking to sell their property. And so it's kind of an extra added benefit, for the citizens of the city as well. But then when we come back to the EDA with those results in July, we would look to get further direction from you all on how we should proceed. And that is really kind of the basics. You guys have any questions at all?
Kind of exciting,
It is
the frontier.
It is, it is. So, would we expand this whole 650 acres? I don't know.
I think that's one of the things, we've gotten people who are just, east of Erie Road, calling, find my property. The city really went all in on the first ones. Well, before we go all in on any other phase, we need to know what we're getting ourselves into. And depending on the wetlands, right, how does that match up with future land use? And just making sure we're doing what's smart, and maybe it gets expanded the whole way, maybe it only gets expanded halfway, but really we need this piece to start us in the right direction, to figure out how to do that.
And it wouldn't necessarily have to be that the city purchases all the property
Yeah,
either.
yeah, I was-
Private developers could also buy in
Right.
and work with the city to market and sell their property as.
I'm sure all those property owners have dollar signs in there.
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure.
Once you say the city.
Well, you say
right,
Green
it's
Bay, yeah, they
interesting.
say, whoa, here we
Yeah,
go.
zero.
Well, a lot of times, especially the ag users, that's the retirement. money.
Sure, yeah, I
Um,
get that.
So,
What's a good start? Yeah, it's very good.
thank you, and we'll be back very soon, so, and that'll probably be a lot of work for you guys, so. If you're up for that.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Okay, director's report.
Sure. Thanks for meeting. Good to see you all again. Just update some things that we've been working on in our department, specifically related to business development. Some of the things that we've done this year to date, and then some of the things that we're working on. Just want to provide a little bit of an update. Downtown-wise, I know we've been talking about grocery store for a while. We did some market analysis, helping us hopefully to put some pieces in place to, kind of make the case. I think, ultimately we'll get there with a number of residents and things like that. But, if we're looking on the east side, some particular spots, really helping to also project some of our demographics and just trends in terms of the local economy. Ken put together one of the things we've been doing, if you've seen our little brochure rack out there, despite the internet, it's still sometimes helpful to hand a piece of paper out. You're going places very quick and easy. So we've been working to condense some of our programs on rack cards and try and get people interested in just the various things we do by handing out rack cards. They can go to our website, get information forms, everything like that, but just a nice, easy, colorful display to do things. So Ken put together a sidewalk cafe rack card, just letting you know that it is easier now, hopefully, in the city to go through that process and, or at least have a process in place, right? For years, we never were able to do that, and now that it's getting warm, getting people to think about al fresco dining. On April 5th, we conducted a business climate walk. How many businesses in total? Wendy's not here, others at Ashker.
Sure.
But we worked with the bids,
103.
so thank you for doing that.
I think it's 103.
I think it's 100.
Yeah, okay. Try to get a better sense of, just issues that are real that businesses are facing and how, if appropriate, can the city respond. So she's putting together, an intern put together a lot of the data. I think part of that helps us, one, address some specific issues that were brought up during that, but then secondly, also helps in developing a retail recruitment strategy of working with these bids and what gaps do we have out there, and then what are some of the spaces that we can fill. Matt talked about the shipyard. He's been putting together a list of potential tenants that could potentially go in the container park out there. He just said in the next few weeks we should get kind of our designs finalized. And I think one of the things that's really exciting about this is this container park concept. We do not have a incubator or this kind of pop-up transitional space for like food, beverage, and retail in the community. And so I think it's really going to open up a lot of doors for people who are interested, in those realms. Tomorrow, the city is hosting an Opportunity Zone event. I don't know if you remember, probably 2 years ago, I think it was. We had this obscure request to designate these opportunity zones in our community. I think we made a list of all our eligible tracks, and we ended up nominating our top 3, and thanks to Ashwaubenon and Overlap, we got a 4th. And basically, it's a designation that allows individuals who have capital gains to invest them into these areas and defer, if not eliminate, their taxes on these gains. And so we're going to go through and talk through, bringing in a speaker who talk about the finance and the tax implications and those types of things, and then we're going to talk a little bit about our opportunity zones and different projects involved in there. In short, it's on the east side, it's the area around like JBS and Festival Foods, University Avenue, Triangle, that neighborhood. And then the west side, it's pretty much the whole west line of the Bay and Fox River. So starting Velp Avenue, coming all the way down through the Railyard along the Fox River, through the Shipyard, down to Green Bay Packaging, and then the Legends District over towards the stadium. So a lot of really good, bad term, but opportunity for investment in the city. And then just some other things that we're going to be working right now. I just mentioned the retail recruitment strategy. Making sure when we're looking at businesses or having these places pop up, that we're selective in terms of who we're recruiting here. We're working on a kind of standard operating procedure for doing, I guess we're gonna call it pop-ups in the community, and just, what are the steps that you need to go through to be able to do pop-up events. We just, Saturday, had a pop-up City Hall, so just trying to get more involved in helping with events in our community. Continuing to work on our business retention visits. Also, in terms of more activity, working with our Parks Department to see if we can get some more development and opportunity in some of our city parks. And then we'll probably be doing another business climate walk later this year. So, just kind of a rundown, some things that our team here has been working on. So, any specific questions or projects I can also answer? I think two of the big ones, two that we just talked about here, the Brownfields, continuing to work on that, and then I-43. Once that gets rolling, we'll probably be able to have a lot more meetings frequently to talk about some of the next steps in that I-43 process.
Very good. Any questions, comments? So what is the status of the Adams Street parking, the developer, where's that?
Yeah, so we launched the RFP, last fall? Got 3 proposals, 2 presented to the real estate subcommittee of the RDA. During that meeting, it was discussed, well, what's the future of the Bay Lake Bank building? And so the RDA sent staff to kind of investigate what the future might be. I think we've got some direction in terms of where and when and timing. So we'll probably reconvene that subcommittee back, this summer? And kind of look at, those proposals and kind of provide some direction. And if the developers want to tweak the proposals based on that information, hopefully take one direction or another by the end of the summer.
So was there anything found out about Bay Lake, what the plan is?
Yeah, and I think we'll probably discuss it at the meeting, just in terms of everything's about timing and opportunities. So I think we still have internally just kind of figure out what pieces we're going to present. But I think just to give some answer of direction of, all right, here's what we have to work with, and this is how we're going to move forward.
Who are the owners still?
So there is some movement, right? There's 12 condos. So it's
Okay.
not just like we're buying a building, we're looking at buying a building. It's 12 condos with fractional percentage ownerships of space and voting rights. So it's right? And you have to get, right, 50 plus 1% to control the interest and do those things. So we kind of analyze some different scenarios of where in, I think Alder Johnson's part of some of those discussions that in redevelopment authority about kind of where we are at and where we're negotiating. But it's sticky, and so it took us a while to work through, but I think we've got some direction on how to move forward.
Anything else?
No, good stuff.
Yeah, very good. Okay, I guess our next meeting is July 8th, 2019. And with that, I guess I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Pia, is there a second? I'll second it. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Carried. Oh, we didn't do this again.
Oh, you don't have to.
Well,
That's really just for action items. Yeah.
Okay.
I found out what password.
Pete Parrish?